Hi, this is your strategic briefing for Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. Brazil is currently witnessing a massive shift in both political favorability and judicial leadership. Simultaneously, the financial markets are hitting historic highs, even as inflationary pressures return with a vengeance. We bring you the deep dive facts from this morning's verified reports. Politics, polls, purges, and power shifts. The political landscape for the 2026 election has just been upended. The latest Genial/Quast poll, released this morning, shows Senator Flávio Bolsonaro leading President Lula in a simulated second-round runoff, marking 42% against Lula's 40%. While technically a tie within the margin of error, this is the first time the opposition has moved numerically ahead. Lula's disapproval has hit a record 52%, fueled by economic pessimism despite low unemployment. In a late-night drama at the Senate, the CPI on organized crime officially ended in a stalemate. The government executed a last-minute maneuver by swapping opposition senators, including Sergio Moro, for government allies just before the vote. This resulted in a 6-4 rejection of the final report, which had requested the indictment of Supreme Court, STF, Ministers Gilmar Mendes, Alexander de Moraes, and Dias Toffoli for crimes of responsibility. Relator Alessandro Vieira accused the Planalto of crossing the street to protect the judges. Meanwhile, the Superior Electoral Court, TSE, has a new command. Minister Nunes Marques was elected president with a 6-1 vote, with André Mendonça as his vice president. This marks a historic moment as two Bolsonaro-appointed ministers will lead the court during the 2026 general elections. Marques's acceptance speech emphasized moderation and impartiality to reduce the institutional heat that has defined previous cycles. Finally, President Lula is preparing to depart for Europe on Thursday with a record-breaking delegation of 15 ministers. The trip, spanning Spain, Germany, and Portugal, aims to sign over 30 agreements, particularly regarding the Mercosur trade deal and green energy investments. Economy, market records versus inflationary spikes. Turning to the economy, the Ibovespa is on fire. The index closed yesterday at a record 198,657 points, its 11th consecutive gain. The market is now within striking distance of the psychological 200,000-point barrier, driven by massive foreign capital inflows, totaling 65 billion reais this year, and a slight easing of tensions in the Middle East. The US dollar remains under pressure, closing below the 5 Brazilian reals mark for the second day at 4.99 Brazilian reals, as investors bet on a more stable interest rate environment. However, not all news is positive. The IGP 10 inflation index for April recorded a sharp jump of 2.94%. A massive reversal from March's deflation of -0.24%. This spike is largely attributed to raw materials and energy costs, suggesting that the Middle East conflict is still leaking into the Brazilian supply chain. There is better news regarding long-term growth. The IMF, FMI, has officially raised Brazil's 2026 GDP growth projection to 1.9%. This matches the IBG's positive data for the service sector, which grew 3.3% annually in the most recent reading. In the banking sector, the Banco Master scandal continues to provide shockwaves. New documents show that while the public bank BRB was negotiating a purchase of Master, which the central bank eventually blocked, it was simultaneously sending 21 different debt collection notices to Master totaling 1.6 billion Brazilian reals. Furthermore, investigations by the federal police have found evidence of negotiations by Master to hire influencer agencies to attack the central bank's image and promote the bank's supposed solidity during its crisis. With the 2026 election polls tightening and the stock market reaching unprecedented levels, the next 48 hours in Brasilia will be critical. We will continue to monitor the retail sales data from the IBG due later today. Stay tuned for our next update. This is your Brazil News Roundup. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. See you.